Well, here we are going halfway across Kansas here. We just went outside of Salina. We've gone about 600 miles out of 1,000, so we got about, I said about 6 more hours of driving. So I haven't been in Kansas in quite a while. Hopefully we can stop by Colby and see where my grandparents lived. My mom. So peaceful and quiet out here. It's nice driving an I-70. So I was thinking about what's going on in the silver market lately. And Thursday, it dropped about, I think, 1.8% from, Apple stock, it dropped $50, about 11-12%. And then Friday, it dropped down to about 2109, something like that. It's 3109. It's testing the 31 level. But it dropped about 1.8% also too. So in 2 days it dropped almost 4%, 3.5%. So it's kind of discouraging. You think, my gosh, how can silver just keep dropping like this? I don't see the fundamentals. I mean, all the fundamentals for silver is that there's a shortage. Industrial demand's supposed to be up about 7% this year. Investment in demand's got to be up. You got 6 million ounces get sold in January, in just a couple weeks. They stopped minting them until like the 28th, so people aren't going to get American Eagles, and then it's like I think it's about $3.50 over spot. And if you want to get silver Eagles from APMEX any other year, it's like $5.50 over spot. So, I mean, if you look at the price of silver, as far as junk silver, it's about $1.80 over spot. And so, and then you got the price of silver. If you're going to buy a American Eagle, it's about was it $4 over spot, $36, something like this, $37. So the real price of silver is really, it's probably $2 over what they're trading in the, in the SLV. But I'm sure that they get all these billions of ounces of the silver in SLV that they don't even have. Was it 576 billion ounces or million ounces of silver? That everybody's like, they didn't buy that silver. Where did that silver come from? It's just imaginary. It's paper silver that they're using to keep the price of silver down, which it just discourages people when they think, well, I'll just sell the silver. I won't get it. I won't invest in it. Well, then the big guys that have the real money, they got the strong hands. You got China buying silver. I don't know. You'd think that the silver mines would hold on to the silver, wouldn't sell it forward, but so anyway, so they smacked it down to 31 now. It took a long time to get up to. It was almost up to 35. So it's gone down about $4, and it takes like probably 2 or 3 months to get up that much. So I don't know. I guess you got to be really patient with this silver. You can't get overextended, that's for sure. Because if you can't just sit and put it in a box, I don't know. It's pretty volatile. The only other thing is to trade on SLV, and if you do that, you don't have to pay all the shipping and all that. But when that whole thing falls to pieces, they're not going to have any. Whoever's playing SLV and GLD, they're not going to have anything. They're going to have zero. So that's a dangerous game to play too. If you're going to play that game, you got to be willing to just sacrifice that maybe overnight. It'd be gone totally. So anyway, here's the windmills coming up here. We're in Lincoln County, Kansas now. See all the windmills in the horizon? Looks pretty. Clouds underneath. It's kind of like a picture. So I feel kind of discouraged about selling my Morgan silver dollars. It's like every time it looks like it's time I can start selling and making profit, it gets smacked down. So I'm just surprised how it seems like the silver market is so related to the rare coin market, which you'd think it would be. You'd think it would be separate, but it's definitely tied. Got everybody piling into the stock market this week. The S&P went up, what did they say? I think it was Procter & Gamble went up like 4% in one day. I'm like, oh, this is crazy, you know? Why would the price go up that much? You know, everybody knows we're in a recession, and you're putting money into a stock where they don't pay any dividends, and if they do, it's like 2%. It's a tiny amount of money, you know. Nobody's paying hardly any dividends, and it's like you're gambling, you know. But I think what's going on is the Federal Reserve is just pouring money into the stock market. They're putting money in the S&P, the Dow, and I don't know about the NASDAQ. I mean, you got Apple falling like crazy, and I mean, you would think that would cause a sell-off of the rest of the stocks, you know. Instead, you get this huge boom. So it's like the Federal Reserve, these big banks, they got unlimited amount of cash. So everything that happens, what's normally supposed to happen in a market, does the exact opposite. And it's really hard to understand how things work like that, you know. It's kind of discouraging, I guess. And but it's really important, and it's good to understand what's going on economically that way. I'm glad I'm understanding it more, and it's the more you understand, the more. Like I just heard this thing with David Morgan, and he was talking about how when people buy silver at a certain price, let's say they buy it at 33, and it's been sitting, you know, the market's been stagnating for a year and a half, 2 years. When people when it finally gets up to 33 again, they're like, okay, I'm selling it, you know, and they get out of it. So, I guess they call that overhead resistance. And they're like, I don't want anything to do with this market anymore. I'm just out of this market. So instead of having a steady market that kind of goes up with inflation, we got so many gyrations and so many ups and downs. It really discourages people that are investing. And so that's a really important thing to know as far as investing. I think since I've started investing in silver and gold and stuff, I've really learned a lot about economics. I've learned about this Austrian school of economics, about these anarchists. I've learned some really, really good stuff, you know. So I think the education in the long run is really worth it. I mean, you don't learn this kind of stuff in a book. You don't learn it in school. You got to just kind of experience it. And this is what the big guys do. This is what the big bankers are doing. They play all these little games, And wow, look at those windmills. Those are big old windmills, aren't they? Huge old things. I wonder where they're sending that electricity to. It's kind of out in the middle of nowhere here. Must be a city around here somewhere. It's pretty, isn't it? Look at those things. It's kind of like West Texas. Oh well, there's Liberty Mark 222.